Ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, I'm shocked at the sheer quantity of misinformation that is going around about the Bitcoin ETFs. The sheer amount of emotion, greed that is going into this. The bias is just potent in this cryptocurrency space right now. And I'm here to give you a full analysis, non-biased, using the data alone to look at the big questions. Will the ETFs be approved? What will the effect of the ETF approval be on the short-term price and the long-term price? And most importantly, will the ETF decision be a sell the news event? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the actual data, no emotions. A full rundown today, guys. That's what we're going to be doing. A full rundown of the ETF. Will it be approved? What news is coming out? What are the implications of the ETF approval on the short-term structure for Bitcoin and the long-term? Will it be a sell the news event? We have so much to look into today. I've spoken about this a few times over the last few weeks. In fact, many times over the last few weeks. And you guys are probably sick to death of hearing about ETFs. It's everything. It's all anyone's talking about on Bitcoin right now, but I need to do a full breakdown because I've done a few minutes here and there, but I haven't done a full breakdown. We're going to be doing a full breakdown, everything you need to know in this video today. We'll try to keep it underneath 15 minutes. Like, guys, we're going to get into it. We're going to start by looking at some news events, right? Okay, so ETFs, we have about 10, I believe. So let's go ahead and count them. We have Grayscale, ArcShares, Bitwise, BlackRock, VanEck, WisdomTree, Invesco, Galaxy, Fidelity, Valkyrie, GlobalX, Hashdex, Franklin, and Pando. So we've got, about 10 or more, I should say, hedge funds essentially having their ETF applications being assessed right now. And those deadlines are going to be January 10th for the vast majority of those applications, or around January 10th. But realistically, right, we have deadlines, for example, on Franklin Templeton going for March 31st being the deadline. But the thing is, if the SEC approves one ETF, it's probably going to do the whole 9 yards. It's going to do all of them in one go. That's going to be the likely scenario. That's going to be what most people would agree to be the likely scenario. So we have now a situation in which we're on the 3rd of January. We know the ETF approval, denial, or potentially even delay, even though it's a final deadline, there is some nuance there. We'll discuss that towards the end of the video. So an approval or denial for this ETF final deadline coming between January 5th and January 10th. So that means we've got basically 2 to 7 days until we see these ETFs approved or denied. That's big, right? It's huge, actually, because we know for a fact, and this is true, right, in every stretch of the word here, we know for a fact that the entire narrative that has pushed Bitcoin upwards over the last 3.5 months from September 11th, pushed Bitcoin upwards, in excess now of 80%, 84%. The entire narrative that has led to that move has been ETFs. ETFs has been on the tip of every single influencer's tongue for basically 6 months now, but specifically in the last 3.5 months, right? People have rarely been discussing it. We actually had a situation here in October 16th where we had a fake ETF approval. We had some rumors circulating on Twitter for about 10 minutes that BlackRock had approved their ETF, and this led the price to literally go up. I was watching it as it was happening, literally go upwards about 4,000-ish USD, which is close to 15% move in a matter of 10 minutes, and then drop right back down basically instantly, right? So this was a huge thing, and this was basically 3 months ago now. So you can imagine the hype for ETFs has increased massively since then, because that was 3 months ago. No one was even expecting that to occur. It happened at a very random time of the day. It happened on a Sunday, I believe. I can't even remember. But the fact of the matter is, no one was expecting that. And even on an unexpected news event on a random time of the day that wasn't even real, wasn't even posted by BlackRock, it was only posted by, I believe, some sort of crypto news site, briefly for 10 minutes before it's taken down. Even that led to a 4,000 USD increase in price over the course of 10 minutes, right? Which is 15%, right? So you can imagine that now, 2 months along as we approach the final deadline, when people are actually expecting it to occur, unlike over then, and when it's actually going to be real and reported by everyone rather than just one, news channel that's got fake information, you can imagine the reaction is going to be a lot bigger. But the question is, will that reaction be up or down? And that's not a very simplistic question to answer. But we need to look into a few things before we even try to answer it. The fact of the matter is the deadline is coming very, very shortly, right? 2 to 7 days from now. We have a situation in which people are claiming, you've got news articles coming out left, right, and center. People claiming it's a political necessity for the ETF approval to occur, right? Basically saying that if the SEC doesn't approve the ETF, we're going to see massive legislation on crypto, broader legislation by Congress. The SEC wouldn't want that apparently. And so we need to be seeing the SEC approving the ETF. That's what some people are saying. There's big articles coming out about that. There's also big articles coming out from even TradingView, right? TradingView pushing narratives that the ETF can, there's no chance the ETF can be a sell and use event, right? This is TradingView. The website we're using to trade Bitcoin, to analyze Bitcoin on a daily basis. Every single person in the market essentially uses this website. And they're coming out and saying, oh, there's no chance this is a sell and use event. We've got Polymarket, right, which is basically a prediction site for cryptocurrency where you can predict certain events, saying now that there is an 89% chance, right, an 89% chance of ETF approval, right, based on bets that have been made. An 89% chance of ETF approval based on public sentiment from bets. Obviously, it's not particularly accurate, gaining public sentiment from a betting website, but it is there. 89% chance of ETF approval from bets. That's huge. We've got unrealized profits on Bitcoin. You know, people, the average Bitcoin holder being on a massive profit of around 51% at the moment, which is huge, right? For this part of the cycle, it's quite big. You can see similar parts of the cycle, for example, in 2019, we only reached a profit of 61%. We're reaching that level quite quickly, right? That's a similar part of a cycle to what we are right now. Just before the halving, we reached a peak unrealized profit of 61%. We're right now at 51%. We're not very far away from where we were in 2019. And that peak in 61% in 2019 led to a sharp correction before the halving, right? You know, we're getting pretty exhausted here, not only by on-chain data. I can look at many on-chain charts. We're getting exhausted in the sense that the price has been moving upwards for a very long period of time now without any sort of correction whatsoever. You know, I did a post here. As you can see, 9 days ago, I made a post. It's been 232 days since Bitcoin has seen a 25% drawdown or more. The last time Bitcoin went this long without a drawdown of 25% or more was 2011, 12 years ago. If that post alone doesn't tell you that Bitcoin is running a rampage driven by a narrative rather than following TA, I do not know what will. And so we can, and we have in the past, and we'll continue to do so, make the claim that Bitcoin, from TA metrics, from RSI divergence for months on end, for volume descending downwards for months on end while the price moves upwards, for the sheer fact that we've been in an uptrend for 3.5 months without any sort of correction whatsoever, the sheer fact that we haven't seen a 25% drawdown in 232 days, the longest period of time since 2012 when Bitcoin was still an infant before the first halving, all of this is showing you that the TA right now is not the main priority and not the main mover of the price. The main mover of the price is the fundamental narrative of ETFs, because if TA was in charge, if technical analysis, if charting was in charge, the price would have moved down long ago. We wouldn't be this high right now. We wouldn't have broken the high, the local high we formed yesterday, and continued this upwards trend. We wouldn't be on the doorstep of 48K, which is our next major macro resistance, right? 48K, 47, 48, our next major macro resistance. We would not be there, right? This is what I mean. The fact of the matter is the ETF has been a plague for the Bitcoin TA. I'm not going to say that many more times. People are sick of hearing it. It's just the reality. It's true. Everyone has been discussing it for months on end. You know, again, most people are expecting it to be approved. Even in my community, I did a poll yesterday saying, would the spot ETF approval be a bullish event, bearish event, neutral event, or ETFs will be rejected? And you can see, even in my community, a community in which I've given a very considerable dose, I certainly do think they'll be approved. I think there's plenty of evidence for that, but I do also know that, you know, there's no proof of that. It's just speculation based on circumstantial evidence, like things like the Grayscale winning a lawsuit against the SEC, where they challenged the ETF rejection. They won that lawsuit. Like BlackRock, for example, applying for the ETF. They've only been rejected once in their entire lifespan and been approved, you know, 450 times or something like that. So that's a very, very good track record. The point is, BlackRock does not apply for something they think is going to get rejected. We've got things like advertisements coming out. You know, people, hedge funds are making advertisements for their spot ETFs already. That's in the works. We've seen some of those advertisements. It's very likely, in my opinion, the ETFs will be approved. It's not certain, but it's very likely. And this is reflected from market sentiment. But it's what is not certain is what will happen upon the approval. Okay? That's what's not certain. Okay? We don't know what's going to happen upon the approval. And this is what I keep telling you. Yes, okay, yes, back here in October when we had the fake approval, yeah, we moved upwards. We pumped short term because of that. But that was fake, okay? And that was also down here at 28K. You know, we've now moved upwards an additional, from that release, that fake release, we've moved upwards an additional 63%. We haven't seen a correction in any period of time whatsoever. We know for a fact that this move has been driven entirely by the ETF narratives. Everyone who cares about ETFs has bought. Okay, or 95% of people who cares about ETFs are bought. Everyone is expecting the ETFs to be approved. 89% of the poly market bettors. We've got, even in my community, 43%, the largest majority of people, the largest portion of people in any of these four categories are expecting it to be a bullish event. Most people think it's going to be approved. Most people think, even in my community, that when it's approved, it's going to be an ultra bullish event. How do we know it's going to be a bullish event? Are you not the same people who say the majority is always wrong? This is my question to you, right? People say, oh, the ETF approval is going to be very, very bullish in the short term. Okay, I agree it's going to be very bullish in the long term. I agree for the price, that is, not for the fundamentals at all. But for the price, I believe it's going to be bullish in the long term, of course. But for the short term, the immediate, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days on effect, maybe a month on effect, how do we know it's going to be bullish? Seriously, is it not just your emotions saying it's going to be bullish? If you look at the actual facts, the facts are Bitcoin has moved upwards ridiculously high in a very short period of time without any sort of correction whatsoever. Most people think it's going to be approved, and most people think it's going to go upwards when it's approved. Is that not the perfect storm for a sell the news event? Right? If that's not the perfect storm for a sell the news event, I do not know what is, right? So put your emotions aside. Trading Views releasing articles. It's not going to be a sell the news event. Trust me, guys. That's what it's saying. It's not going to be a sell the news event. No news articles coming out. It's political necessity. It's going to be approved. When it's approved, it's going to be insanely bullish. Poly markets. It's going to be insanely bullish. All these people. It's going to be so bullish. The market's moved up so much. No correction whatsoever. How do we know it's going to be bullish? How do we know this is not going to be a sell the news event? The answer is we do not know. Okay? And actually, if we're thinking logically here, and we're actually looking at the data from a non-biased perspective, okay, because I understand everyone and their grandmother's in Bitcoin right now. If we're actually looking at this data as it is, raw data, the chances are this is more likely than not going to be a sell the news event. But at the baseline, we don't even really know, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know really if it's going to be approved. Right? Yeah, it's likely it's going to be approved, but we've got now articles coming out. Just yesterday, the SEC is reportedly overwhelmed with the paperwork as the deadline for spot ETFs approach. And so now they might have to delay it by necessity because they can't finish the paperwork in time. This is what I mean. There's no certainties when it comes to this kind of thing. So you need to stop acting like there's certainties. There's no certainties the ETF's going to be approved full stop. It's likely. I agree that it's likely. I agree that it's very likely. But there's no certainty around it, and there's certainly no certainty about it going upwards in the immediate short term after the approval. Remember, the key point, okay? There's many key points, we've discussed them many times, but one of them that I haven't discussed yet is this. The ETF will not be released for buying and selling upon the approval. The ETF will be approved, and then there will be a period of time where they have to set up the ETFs. There will be no influx of buying based on ETFs themselves from the ETFs at the immediate release of the ETF, at the immediate approval of the ETF. The only people who will be interacting with the market when the ETF is approved are retail, and retail have already bought in. That's what I'll say, guys. So I hope this video wakes you up to an extent, because a lot of people are clearly asleep at the wheel right now, right? This is the facts, this is the data, this is what we're looking at, logical analysis. Wake up, get your emotions out of the game, be logical about this, okay? Because this is money here. And everyone on YouTube, everyone on Twitter is just insanely bullish for no reason. I really don't understand. Not for no reason, right? There is reason, there's justification, but it's no data. There's no data behind being bullish right now, okay? And they're clearly consumed by their emotions. I don't want you to be consumed by your emotions as well. Be logical. Thank you for watching. Check out the VIP group on Telegram. We trade altcoins multiple times a week. We give entry signals with take profit targets and stop loss information there. Everything you need to trade altcoins effectively. Check out the VIP group on Telegram. If you need an exchange to buy and sell cryptocurrency on, which everyone does, check out Bingx, it's global non-KYC, and Bitget, it's global KYC minus the USA. So depending on your geographical location and what you require for KYC, check out either one of these exchanges. They're both very low in trading fees. They're both handpicked by myself. They've both never been hacked. My referral links are down below for both of them, and you'll get exclusive discounts and rewards by using my referral link. You also help the channel massively and help yourself massively by getting on a good exchange with discounts. Check out my referral links down below. And finally, the Become a Trader 10-unit course by the Crypto Academy, a course founded by myself and Megawell Crypto. You might know him. He's a fellow YouTuber in the space. You can see the bio on the website here. You can see the unit topics listed on the website. You can also see our email address listed on the website and contact us for any details, payment information, etc. We'll send it all back to you. Answers to any questions you might have, we'll get back to you shortly. Guys, go ahead, check out all those things. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate that. Catch you guys tomorrow.